Thank you. Thank you so very much for tuning in to this month installment of the 19 Report. I am your host, Brother Johnny. I walked a thin line between right and wrong. Took my fears to God, then I wrote this song. The spirit kept calling, so I answered the phone. And then I manned up and got some backbone. My mind resonates at a much higher tone. Solid foundation, empire zone. 3 mountains, I'm in one. Right to left counted, 9 and then 1. Left to right, switch it, 1 and then 9. West to east, south to north, a thin line. I know Christ exists, cause his mercy allows me a chance to stand 3 on a square. Yeah, we in there. This is Brother Johnny of Groove 19 Promotions. Tuning in, put my face on the screen right now. Jamil Salib Zamir out of Manning, South Carolina. We got a lot to go over today. I'm going to take my time. A little update on my health right now. I told you on last month, an incident happened that just literally broke my heart. And one of the surgeries that I had when I came home and I died was that the sac that your heart is protected in, it's like a leathery sac. And that sac, I was bleeding internally in my stomach and in my heart sac. And in that sac, there was no room, no place for that blood to go. So my heart kept beating until it just couldn't beat anymore because the blood was pressing up against it. So I had to go back, and that's when I died in the house. I had to go back, and they cut what is called a cardio window in the sac in my heart. And by cutting that cardio window, the blood if it ever were to happen again, the blood would seep into my body. So the blood seeps into my stomach, but if you've never felt like you've been on fire before, having bloating and your stomach is full of blood, I wouldn't wish it on my worst enemy. And the blood does not exit the body. It literally has to just dissolve back into, your organs. You risk infections, you risk death. You risk all of these things because of that. And that's what I'm going through right now. I tried to do some weight training, light weight training, because I was allowed to do 8 pounds in therapy. And then I went up and tried to do 10, and then I did 20 thinking I could. And that put more stress on my heart. And for the last couple of weeks, I've been taking penicillin, 4 different medications I have to take every morning to try to, on top of our antacids, to try to combat this burning. And this burning is so excruciating. I wouldn't wish it on the worst person in the world, but still, I'm alive and I'm grateful and I'm thankful to Almighty God, Allah, for allowing me to be here. So I don't try to look like I feel. I dress the part by God's permission, and come to you with conviction and with sincerity and with the desire that we will get the message that is trying to be sent. And this feeling, it causes you to be very uncomfortable. So I may be tugging at my shirt or popping my shoulders or trying to get relaxed because I'm very tense. I can't sleep well at night. But again, I'm still here. So what's y'all problem? What y'all doing today? What y'all got popping off? What got y'all all in your you curled up and all that? Y'all got something going on? Your favorite show ain't come on TV? No sports? Can't get no weed? Can't get no church meeting going on and nothing like that. No Muslims meetings or nothing, like can't hang out with your dudes. If that's your problem, you being blessed. So today we're going to go into part 3 of the fentanyl epidemic. Today we're talking about environmental dysfunction. And the reason we're going to talk about environmental dysfunction is because after talking about neglect, and I'm going to show you a video on neglect and how it works psychologically, I want to go into environmental dysfunction and its connection and correlation to drug abuse and how fentanyl became the top drug because of its availability, its price, and its ability to give you exactly what you want. We are a microwave society now. We want everything right now, instantaneous. And that microwave society mentality, there is a group of people who have studied you. There are 85% of the population of the earth who have no knowledge of these secret organizations and what they're doing and how they operate to keep you under control. 85%. 10% know what's going on, and they are the puppet masters who control society. And then there's a 5% group of people, Christian, Muslim, gay, white, black, red, brown, yellow, who know the truth and teach that truth all of their life. You don't retire from this. You don't stop this. You don't say, I don't feel well today. When you make a promise to the people, you follow through. You lost a loved one, I followed through. When my brother died, my only brother, that night I had to do a birthday party. I didn't call and cancel the party. I did the party, and I didn't bring my pain and sorrow into the event. Everyone that I lost in my life, there was something I had to do, and I did it. Not out of being insensitive, but this has nothing to do with you. So I have to honor my obligations to you. That's just who I am. Because I promise you, if you want to go out and do something else, you do it. No matter what's going on, you get it done. So we're talking today about dysfunction and a part of life that you all don't know. There's a 5% group of people that study that you don't call God. God don't come when you call like that. You don't choose God. God chooses you. Universal law chooses you. I don't care where you are, what you're doing. You can say to God, maybe I'm not the man for the job. As Jonah said, I'm not the man for this job. So Jonah ran away and God caught him up in what they called a proverbial whale, swallowed him up until he decided, okay, I'm going to go back and talk to these people. So when you go to a college to get a degree that say you can preach, that's not the same as being called to do it. Although you can take that knowledge and word it to where it makes sense, and you are getting the people more involved with the idea of universal law, scientific law, and God. But most of us, not only in the churches and religious institutions, but motivational speakers and talk show hosts and podcasters, we want to be the best of everything. So what we do is that we want you to look at us. We want attention. But what Jamil and many people like me do is not for attention, with the exception that I want you to share this information because we study hard to accumulate the information. So today we're talking about dysfunctional environment, its relation to drug addiction, but fentanyl use in particular. I wanted to go based on what Allah God was telling me underneath just the problem, because we always ask how to fix the problem, but we never go through the steps in order to come to fix something. You got to track back. And the average person cannot take a loss. The average person cannot come back from death because it's too difficult of a trip. The average person doesn't come back from loss. Some people lose 5, 10 times and keep coming back. But the average person gets stuck right there. And so everything that we utilize to keep us excited and stimulated, there are a group of people who use those tools as negative tools. They did it to rap music. They intentionally changed the rap music from positive and happy to gangster and murder. You're not in control of that. You're being controlled by groups of people who are thousands of times more intelligent, more wise than you will ever be. Ever be. That's just fact. And they did it to drugs. Things that were used for pain. Fentanyl was used, that's a horse tranquilizer. And also fentanyl was used on people who were suffering from pancreatic cancer and other diseases. But if there is a good use for something, there is a group of people who will find a way to manipulate it. Guns were not a bad thing until people utilized them to kill for domination. In the black community, guns are used to murder, not to. There are hunting groups who do the right thing. I see them there where I live all the time. But the majority of the ignorant don't know that. So we're going to go into this information today. It's going to take us about an hour. But I want to start with something real quick. In everything that I talk about, from the streets to marriage to psychology to bike clubs, motorcycle clubs, I got some information I want to show you that I was given a certificate of appreciation from the Tri-County Motorcycle Association. That is motorcycle clubs, outlaw bikers, and all, because I was at all of their events. They invited me. They chose me, like God has to choose you. They chose me for that time. So everything that secret societies and social clubs, I was the photographer there, the videographer there, the guy there that captured the moments. You don't see that stuff on the internet because it wasn't made for that. But there is a book. It's called the Tavistock Institute of Human Relations. This is a very, very expensive book. I'm going to show you real quickly, if I can get it up on the screen, the price of this book. And I'm going to tell you how I got it in my possession. On abooks.com, the Tavistock Institute of Human Relations, shaping the moral, spiritual, cultural, and political, shaping the moral, spiritual, cultural, political, and economic decline of the United States of America. I'm going to read that again. The Tavistock Institute of Human Relations, shaping the moral, spiritual, cultural, political, and economic decline of the United States of America. There are people who are plotting against this country, plotting against from the very beginning of it, because this is a bastard country. America is a bastard language, and there are people who are in positions of power who are controlled by this. I won't talk too much about it. I'm not going to tell you how I got the book, but I will say that from Shriners to Masons to Muslims, I have been a part of all of that. From Christian hierarchy, at 52, I've lived the life of a 72-year-old, 73, 74, 75-year-old. But this book is $4,800 to get this book. Right there on the screen, $4,800 for this book, for this book, for this book. But I want to read something out of it before we get started. I highlight so much stuff. I read it thousands of times. And watch me not be able to find what I'm looking for right now. But if I can't find it, that'll be okay. I just wanted to show you, if I can't find it, it might be for a reason. Because this book is not intended for everybody to read. You'll go out there and get yourself killed, running your mouth. If I happen to find it, I will come back to it. But for right now, I can't find it. But it is talking about the organizations that are involved with the moral decline of this country. And you would be amazed on every level what this book tells you. These are high scientists who study our condition, and they study our situation, and they have mastered the art of making us do whatever they want us to do. Black, white, red, brown, or yellow. If they want you to be gay, which is a choice, they will make you gay. If they want you to be straight, they will make you straight. If they want to break up the nuclear family, which they have done, they will do it. They put the woman up front and say, now the woman says she don't need no man. If they want to do that, they can do it. This is scientific. This is not a game. Jesus said in the Bible, there is much that I have to tell you, but you cannot handle it. And most of us, just because you don't know that you have cancer, don't mean you're going to live forever. It's going to kill you. Ignorance is no excuse. So I would advise those of you who listen to what I'm saying by God's permission, if you don't want to hear it, share it to somebody that may need it. So this is part 3. This book is so powerful. $4,800. You can say about $5,000 to get it. I've got books like this, original prints, by God's permission, that were given to me from college professors and high-ranking people at Masons and Shriners. I was a member of Temple number 99 in Manning. Before I was old enough to know what a Muslim was, we were junior knights of Pythagoras in Manning Temple number 99, the first young group. We ran with Betty Roper, with Jeff Black, with all of your local celebrities and people you love and you kiss tail with. Now, we were there when I was 19 years old. I was doing that. Me and many other people were doing that. We were there. We were being groomed to understand, and went to college and did other things. But we chose a path. Some chose to go on to other things. This is my path. I'm done. Now let's get into the subject for today. We're talking about fentanyl. As I said, someone has died in the last week from it. They're mixing it with, and you don't know your child is on fentanyl because it doesn't give off the weed smell. It doesn't give you a inclination that something is wrong with your child, but fentanyl is being mixed into the marijuana. Fentanyl is being mixed into the mollies. Fentanyl is being mixed into the cocaine, and your children are sniffing cocaine. Fentanyl is being mixed into there, and they're popping pills like it's no tomorrow. Percocet, Molly Percocet, Percocet, Molly Percocet. That is a repetitious brainwashing technique from the Tavistock Institute. Get Negroes who were nobody, build them up to be somebody, and get society to love them, and then give them a message and make them write songs that will make these young children, our children, go totally against parents, make them dysfunctional, make the environment dysfunctional. That's what this institute is about. And they are a part of every facet of this country. You would be amazed. You don't talk too much about this and call too many names, because you might end up someplace that they can't find you. And I wouldn't risk my life at this point because nobody's really listening like that. I wouldn't risk it. Dr. King risked it. They kill you in plain sight, or get somebody in your neighborhood to do it, or get some little boy to do it, some little child. That's how serious this is. They want to destroy this. They make you vote for presidents. Barack Obama was selected before he was elected. Joe Biden, the same. They're the people that Donald Trump, the same. He was a provocateur to make you accept anybody that comes after him. You ain't care who it was. It could have been a dog or a foot or a shoe. I'm coming to a point. Now let's get into this. There's also another copy of the Tavistock book that's a little shorter. You can get for like $16 on Amazon, but you won't have the full version like this right here. You won't have all of the ins and outs of it like that. So, I thank you all for tuning in again. This is, like I said, this is the boring corner. This is where we actually take accountability for the things that we have done and the things that we do. Nobody wants to be accountable. We want to blame everybody else for our problems, and we want to take all of the credit for our success as if no one helped you to get there. So that's where we are. I got a few things written down. I'm supposed to talk about, there's a movie that came out called Groundhog's Day, and that was with Bill Murray. You might be able to find it on DVD or something like that on one of maybe Tubi or whatever they call it. But in that movie, Bill Murray would wake up every morning, and every morning he woke up in the same scenario over and over again. He was in hell, or what the Hindus call the wheel of samsara, what the Asians call the wheel of samsara. It's where you got to go through the same thing over again, and you keep asking yourself, how did I get here? Why am I back here? How did I get myself in this situation again? It's because there is a lesson in it that you are not learning, you don't want to learn, you don't pay attention to. Well, this wheel of samsara is what this Tavistock Institute, they mastered that. So they know how to put generations of children, parents, their parents, in that wheel. So we grow up crazy, our children grow up crazy, but we do it so long that we think crazy is normal. Environmental dysfunction. We think ghetto is normal. That's an environment dysfunction. And it's so bad that you can take a person out of the ghetto and put them into a duplex condo. And within 6 months, they will have a chair on the front porch, a grill, playing loud music, a car up front with the rims off, with the tires jacked up, because we really believe that Section 8 is a good thing. I ain't got to pay all that money. We have been programmed. And in environmental dysfunction, you believe that if a person gets a degree, if they join a fraternity, if they try to talk more proper, if they try to dress better, drive a better car, they trying to be white. We want to stay in this wheel of destruction. The word nigger is a part of environmental dysfunction. Means that you have no value. I don't care how you say it. That's my nigga. Oh, come on, nigga. It's the same thing. It's created by these people to control you. And so we walk around thinking that we are independent, but you are no way near independent. You are not free. The only thing that sets you free in this world is not money. It's not things. It's not killing people. The only thing that sets a man free is truth. Ye shall know the truth, and the truth shall set you free. But here is the caveat. Here is the condition. The condition is that when people don't want to be free, they talk about God, send me something, God, let me win the lottery, God, and God this, and I'm going to have a better day, God. But you don't even believe what you're saying. So eventually, you have to turn to a substance that makes you think that you are free. Liquor, cigarettes, to cope with being in this repetitious cycle of nothing. And the deeper you go into this repetitious cycle of nothing, and these people understood that, they don't want you calling out to God. They don't want you trying to find a way out. They want you addicted to the cycle of sin. So it says that they are sharing hold on a minute. Says the Tavistock Institute of Human Relations, shaping the moral. They're shaping it. They're molding it the way they want it. The moral, which means we are becoming immoral, because the only thing that matters to us is what matters to us. You disrupt an entire neighborhood because you want to have a loud party. You disrupt an entire restaurant because you want to smoke weed. A great club going on, no weed in here. You come in there with weed. They tell you to take the weed out the door. You want to fight, shoot, and kill people. These people shape your mentality. They shape your idea of manhood. They shape your idea of freedom and independence, and it is a lie. So it says that they shape the moral. They shape the spiritual. So the churches are being exposed as a lie. A lie. Very few preachers today preach the truth. They are motivational speakers. You go there to get lies given to you to motivate you to make it through the week. Oh, you cheat on your husband? God will forgive you. The blood of Jesus. Oh, you kill somebody? The blood of Jesus. There is no such thing as wrong anymore. They're shaping a society with the new normal, and it's working. They shape the moral, the spiritual, the cultural. For people who don't even know their lineage, you don't even want to know your past. You don't want to know nothing. They shape your culture. You trying to escape yourself by marrying into another race of people, but you still who you are. When you marry a white woman, they don't become black most of the time. You start acting white. If it's a fair marriage, you respect my culture and I respect yours, that's what heaven is. Respect, truth. They shape the political, which I was talking about earlier. They give you your presidents. Everybody was darn sure that Hillary had it in the bag, and then they said, nah, let Trump get it. It's that easy. And economic decline of the they want it to decline. How do you do that? See, you think that putting money into the economy makes the economy better, but when the economy is overflowed with money, inflation comes. Now the price of goods and services must go up. The prices of owning a home is triple the cost. Meat, triple the cost. So you're in a wheel. Y'all done spend all your PPP money, and young folks, I'm not blaming. Y'all were the distraction. Those of you who got the 10, 25,000, they know y'all were going to blow that money. The bulk of the money was to go to higher institutions that are studying society. The bulk of the money go to people who don't even pay taxes. But you all are going to get the blame for that. So we're in this wheel. We think the ghetto is normal. We think murder is normal. That's why the mind of a person who kills is so dangerous, because it's not their mind. Their mind has been hijacked by their desires, and all this institution does is act on your desire. Where did they get it from? Right out of the Bible. God told Adam and Eve, you can do all this, just don't touch that tree. Satan came in and acted and jump-started their desire and curiosity. So the movie The Groundhog's Day, Bill Murray goes through the same cycle over and over until he breaks it, until he realizes, oh, I gotta change this, I gotta change that. I'm given opportunities to change. But us, and especially you young folks from 90 to 2022, you're bolder because they made you bolder. But you're weak in your mind. You can't handle problems, so you run away. You can beat a man to death, stab him, cut him, eat his heart, shoot his family, but you're weak. You can't face problems. So you run away from one problem into the hands of another problem that doesn't look like a problem, because in the beginning it's fun. You meet a new girl, she's pretending she's fun. But then when you get to know her, she ain't no better than the girl you got. You get hold of a drug that answers your desires in less than 2 seconds, and you will get addicted to that drug. I am telling you, young people, don't start anything that is going to cost you money or cost you morals. You go to the churches, again, Tavistock Institute, they tell you that Jesus forgives everything. That's a lie. That's a lie. Everybody can't be right, people. If everybody is right, what's the purpose of having a heaven and a hell? You go through trauma in your life, they tell you get over it. That's a lie. The book says, yea, though I walk through the valley and shadows of death, I will fear no evil. Why? Because God is with me. Thy rod and thy staff, they comfort me. When you get into higher learning, you understand what rod and staff is alluding to. That's not something that you tell people, because when you give people knowledge, they don't want it. They don't respect it. You go find it for yourself. Again, Jesus said, there are much things that I have to tell you, but you can't handle it. Environmental dysfunction. You don't get over a problem. You were given the problem so that you can call on God and he can help you through the problem. And then you can look at the problem and tell other people, this is what I went through, and this is what I had to rely on God for. And this is what God did for me based on my dedication to him. So I got to tell you my story. You know, they say, you don't know my story, the song. If you don't know the story, you will assume the story. And if someone can change the narrative of the story, they can make you to believe whatever they want. So, this is the last thing I got down here. They want us believing in things that we can't see. God is a God of science, universal law. You can see God. And it's said in the Bible, how can you love a God whom you have never seen and hate the people that, and I'm paraphrasing, and hate the people that you see every day? See, the blueprint of destroying a people and then them getting so lost in the wilderness that they take drugs and psychedelic things to make them think that they are where they are not, that's the Matrix movie. Take the red pill, you see the truth. Take the blue pill, and you see what you want to see. Our job is to get us out of the Matrix. It's the most difficult job you will ever have in your life. Jesus puts it like this: it is easier for a camel to go through the eye of a needle than it is for a rich man or a wealthy man or a man who thinks he knows a lot to enter the kingdom of heaven. See, you already think you are there because society says these are the points that makes you're supposed to be happy if you got money, a house, a woman. Even though the money makes you miserable, the house makes you miserable, the woman makes you miserable, the children make you miserable, you're supposed to look happy. So go out and buy you some Christian Dior, some Fujiyama shoes, a big gold chain, a big watch, put some money on your arm, flash some dough, and that makes people want to be like you. We're talking about fentanyl. What causes us to go to a drug? Because we're being disillusioned. We're in a world that is a lie. And the moment you see clarity that, wow, my life didn't turn out the way it was supposed to, we're getting to the psychological part of drug abuse. Now, I want to read this real quick, and I'm going to read clips off of it. We might not be on as long as maybe we'll be done. This is dysfunctional environments can create broken relationships. I'm going to read the first line, but then I'm going to go down a little bit. It said, how does a social environment compare to that of a business environment? An environment which deprives us of the purpose for which was intended is dysfunctional. An environment that deprives us of the purpose in which it was intended is dysfunctional. What happened to black folks coming to this country was the family was broken and made dysfunctional. As graphic as it is, I put something up one day and some sophisticated lady on Instagram said, how old are you? Why are you still in the past? Well, intelligently, I answered her question, and I asked her, why aren't you still in the past? Ye shall know the truth, and the truth will shall set you free. What is truth but the past? A man that does not know his past is doomed to repeat it, whether it was good or bad, mostly bad. But we have a fear of facing who we were, how we treated people, and how we destroyed lives. So we want to forget that part of ourselves and act as if though we are perfect now. You got to learn how to see through foolishness in order to free yourselves and deal with life as it is, the difficulties of it, the heartbreak. You got to learn how to get over the heartbreak, the pain, the hurt, and call on God, not on Jamil, not on your preacher, because they going through hell too, not on your imam or your minister or your politicians. They going through hell too. They just dress well when they come outside. Look in their eyes. You can tell the whole story. Most of them, they shifty. They can't look at you. It ain't in them. They're broken. This book right here promises that. They're going to break us down to the point where we say, I give. Whatever you give me is what I'll take. But we want to make ourselves believe as if though we are in control. And that's why we take power positions. I'm going to be the head gang leader. I'm going to be the president. I'm going to be the vice president. I want to be a boss. Anything that makes us feel as if though we got out of the hell, but you still there because you're still raising hell. We're talking about fentanyl and the mind, and why we turn to drugs, and why we're going to turn to fentanyl because of its quick reaction time to take us out of reality and put us to sleep for most of the day, maybe permanently. An environment which deprives us of the purpose from which was intended is dysfunctional. As an example, the family starting with two adults of opposite sex acting in consort to create another human, then caring for, exhibiting love, nurturing guidance and direction for that human till it's capable of acting on its own. The family is enlarged by siblings. We all have a role to play. I told my children, y'all did not hang on to a position of, y'all did not study being a brother, a sister, a big brother, a big sister before you went into trying to have children of your own. So our children were disrespectful to us. We were disrespectful to our parents. We did not play our position right. Now we go out and have children and expect them to be different, but they can't, because they're being raised by a dysfunctional, neglected, low self-esteemed child who thinks that they can do a better job because they think it. Listen to what I'm saying to you. We think a thing and then say we can do it, but we don't map out the strategy. That's what business is. Jesus said, I am about the business of my Father. He didn't say he was the business. He wasn't say he was about to give nobody the business. He said, I am about the business of my Father. That business was to reverse the wheel that locked us into a slave mind and an environment of dysfunction. The family is enlarged by siblings, grandparents, uncles, aunts, teachers, mentors, spiritual advisors, providing comfort, support, visible love, and assurance that the created individual is on its own worthy. This group is designed to break all of that. So now you see people on the internet saying, I don't need no love. I don't trust nobody. I don't need nobody. Men ain't nothing. Women ain't nothing. Dogs ain't nothing. Food ain't nothing. Cats ain't nothing. I got my marijuana. The only thing we talk highly about is liquor and drugs. I rarely see many people big up in their wife, big up in their husband, unless it's their birthday or an anniversary, as if those staying together for a certain amount of years mean that you were loving that whole time. Come on. Environment which do not provide all of the most of the aforementioned are dysfunctional. We are dysfunctional, black people in particular, whites too. We all were messed up because, see, every physical thing that was done to black people, every physical thing from slavery till now, you don't know this, but white families were going through the same thing, not the beatings, but they are dysfunctional, because their families were focused on making money more than showing love. And that's how most white women and men end up coming to black men, because we understood love. And that's how our own women stopped loving us and we stopped loving them, because we couldn't defend them. And they looked at the white man as if though he was the epitome of God. So they wanted him. Got that out of this. Got that out of this. Tavistock. If you're not studying, you don't know. You're just assuming. We talk about God as if though we're on a first name basis with God. You see a vision or you have a dream and you don't even realize out of that whole dream, none of that mattered. It was that little thing in the corner in that dream that you were supposed to pay attention to and you didn't. So now you going around, yeah, he bad, I saw it in a dream, she bad. And you destroy people's lives and miss the point. So in environment dysfunction and neglect, because you hate yourself, you hate everything that is a part of you. And that's what we talked about on yesterday. So environments which do not provide all or most of these aforementioned are dysfunctional. There is no criticism in this statement, just an observation of facts. Just the facts. If your family, by its actions or absence, did not provide for your feelings of self-worth, you come from a dysfunctional environment. Join the club. You are in a representative group which approximates the majority of the population. Recent estimates indicates over 90% of the families in the United States are operating above a 50% dysfunctional level. Now, I told you that 85% of the masses have been deceived, 10% know the truth, and 5% are the truth tellers. In all of these, there is dysfunction. If a dysfunctional environment provides feelings of low, listen to this now. Listen to me, young people, and pass this on, please. If a dysfunctional environment produces feelings of low self-worth, the child product of this environment may seek status, wealth, power, or any of the other entrapments of success as a means of feeling good about themselves. What's going on in our community? We want power, so we want to join the biggest gang. We want status, so we want to be the baddest person. We want wealth. All of which are entrapments because we want them for the wrong reason. I got to talk to you. Same thing with most of your ministers. They're not teaching you out of love. They're teaching you out of trying to build. Well, you know, we got 5 services. But 1 in the morning, in the afternoon, and mid-afternoon. Then we get brunch. Then we're growing. We somebody. You know, we got another church going up. I was at the grave site cleaning my mother, my brothers, and my auntie's grave. And a man pulled up in a nice truck. And he pulls up there, and, you know, I got my buddy with me like, man, I will bury your behind right here on top of my mama if you do something stupid. And he's sitting there, and then he calls my son over to the car, and I'm like, I'm on right behind him. He's the new clergy of the church. Yeah, this is one of our churches here. What do I care? I paid for this plot. This my land. This our land. These people that are on here. But you want the utmost respect because you look like you got money, look like you got power, look like you got status. Yes, sir. No, sir. And then I went on back over to where I was, but I'm thinking to myself, wow, he's dysfunctional. Probably been a nerd in school or nobody. But I'm talking to young people, and I'm telling you that what is wrong with you was wrong with us, and what is wrong with us was wrong with our mother and father. And growing up in a dysfunctional home, when I lived across town, and people can bear witness, that was a dump. But I put a brick patio. I had beautiful flowers every summer. I rebuilt the staircase. I put locks on the door. I painted the entire house. I made it a home. No matter where I go, I don't want to be dysfunctional. I want to know that I deserve the best of what I can have based on what I have. But our children are being led into believing that death, murder, drugs, selling and using, mistreating women, homosexuality, lying, they're being taught that lying is better than telling the truth. Stealing is better than paying for. And they're falling for it. Disrespect your mama. Slap her. And some of you can bear witness to me on this. We did a domestic violence event out at the park in Manning. And a lady there, and we were talking about domestic abuse based on a woman abusing a man or a man abusing a woman. But a lady there said, my son abuses me. There is a lady out of Sumter, South Carolina, who I did a 3-part series with about ADHD. And her son used to give her 2 black eyes at least once a month. I mean, beat that woman like she was somebody off the street. And to them, that was normal. Unfortunately, he was murdered. He was killed by his best friend. But environmental dysfunction, when we are not willing to open our hearts and minds to the things that we engaged in, the things that we did. I was just talking to a friend of mine. Our lives are supposed to be told, because if we don't tell it, if we don't share it, then the people who talks to you about Jamil, you're going to believe them. Because the things that I say are different from what you are accustomed to. They're supposed to be. Jesus Christ was not a liked man. No prophet or messenger who came to change the world from what people were accustomed to and what they love, the dysfunction, they came to make it functional. So none of them were liked. Most of them were murdered. But all of your clergy and religious leaders, everybody loved them. And everybody in the church literally gets to do what they want as long as they hide it. And as we said, what's in the dark will eventually come to the light. That's the book. So the drug use, the mistreatment, the addiction, we've been through that. We hit it. And now our children, poor children, gotta be the manifestation of that. Look like little demon children and enjoy calling themselves demons. No different for the clergy or politics, all the same. When you say Crip and Blood, I see Democrat and Republican, red and blue, same thing, no different. When you say fraternity, sororities, all I see is little gangs, same thing. No, we better than you. I'm sophisticated. Why should I talk to you? I'm Kappa Alpha. I'm Omega Psi. We're going to make sure that our world is safe. To hell with the rest of you. A man of God talks to everybody. That's why for anybody to tell you that I'm a racist, you better look into that for yourself. Because what I'm saying to black folks, I'm saying to white folks and every other folk, myself included. All right, let's go on. We're talking about dysfunction. The type of dysfunctional families and dysfunction, again, we think four-wheelers and motorcycles, they weren't intended to tear the streets up. But in our dysfunctional world, everything that we can enjoy, we make it bad. Now you want to cut donuts on a paved road and eat the road up and put potholes in the road. You want to ride on the wrong side of the road on two wheels and swerve and may cause an accident on the road. You think that's normal. You think you thought of that. But dysfunction is something that has been designed for us. Designed. So that on a world scale, from China to Arabia to Dubai, every four corners of the earth, that is a nigger. They are savages and they can't be trusted. Rather, he got on a suit and tie. Listen, Africans don't like us. Jamaicans don't like us. Haitians could care less. They think we are the laziest people. And we are. Because we want life easy and we don't deserve it. Yes, we've been through a lot, but not you. Your parents and grandparents, what they went through, they built a better life for you, and you forgot all of that and went on another path, and now you're lost. And drugs and alcohol and parties, you think your woman's supposed to be on the pole. You think she's supposed to have her behind bust open like a letter. You think that's normal. You think that. That's environment dysfunction. The following are some examples of patterns that frequently occur in dysfunctional families. One or both parents have addictions or compulsions, drugs, alcohol, promiscuity, gambling, overworking, and overeating that have strong influence on family members. One or both parents use the threat of application of physical violence as the primary means of control. Children may have to witness violence, may be forced to participate in punishing siblings, or may live in fear of explosive outbursts. One or both parents exploit the children and treat them as possessions whose primary purpose is to respond to the physical and or emotional needs of adults, protecting a parent or cheering up one who is depressed. You think your children are your boyfriend and husband. There's a young man in Manning right now whose mother used to sleep with him. And now she calls on him like, you're supposed to do what I say do. And don't act as if though she don't even remember that and it has messed him up. He can't hold a relationship. But she's still talking to him like he's the problem. One or both parents are unable to provide or threaten to withdraw financial or basic physical care for their children. Similarly, one or both parents fail to provide their children with adequate emotional support. That's just about all of us. We dress our children up for social media. One or both parents exert a strong authoritarian control over the children. Often, these families rigidly adhere to particular beliefs, religious, political, financial, personal. Compliance with role expectations and with role is expected without any flexibility. That's my family. If you don't look like you got something, if people don't like you, they say you nobody. I don't know what he doing, that crazy religious belief and all that crazy, because you're not them. That's dysfunction. But to the people, it looks like, oh, if you ain't a Christian, you ain't. Listen, man, God made paths for us. You on the street, you got to get knowledge from the street. But that knowledge should teach you how to be a better person morally. Y'all are struggling with self-identity. I'm going to write that down because that's one of the topics that we'll be discussing. Give me a minute. Identity. You don't know who you are. You are in a situation where people are telling you who you are. You should be a doctor. You should be a lawyer, but that's not what you want to be. We don't ask questions. All of this is weighing on you, young people. You feel worthless. So you're seeking out a source that will help you forget that so that you can make a new reality in yourself. You can become something better. You see your parents. They're high-ranking this, that, and the other, but they come home complaining every day. They come home hurting every day. They come home gossiping every day. So ain't nothing different in their world than yours. They come home and drink. They come home and smoke weed. They come home and take pills. They come home and sleep all day. They come home and get engulfed in politics, religion. They in church every Sunday, but ain't nothing ever change about them. Because church is not going to change you if you don't have a desire to change. It just pacifies and justifies your behavior and make you think you are better than others. So we got to wipe the slate clean with all of these titles and people and just become human beings. And that's where I have been for a long time. I don't care what you have. I don't care who you are. I don't care about your title. Respect me and I will respect you. Disrespect me and you will get very disrespected unless God say different. This is how we have to become. Morals. The Tavistock Institute designs the system, the world system, to make us immoral, amoral. We almost done. We're talking about fentanyl. Why we use it, why we are addicted to it. And the truth of the matter is you will never get free from it once you start. 2 grains of fentanyl, like a grain of salt. 2. It's all the body can handle. Anything beyond that can cause an overdose or addiction. Fentanyl, we showed you on the last, if you haven't seen it, go back. We showed you what it does to the body, how it reaches the pleasure center of the brain and causes your synapse to strike and make you feel good. There ain't nobody talking about this stuff. There ain't nobody loving you enough to come out of the closet and say, I'm dysfunctional. Jesus came to destroy everything. They had churches then too. They had religious systems then too. Go to the Bible, look it up, type it in right now. Think not that I came to bring peace, nay, a sword. I came to put the father at variance with the mother, the brother with the sister, the brother with the father. I came to separate the wheat from the tare. That's where we are. And anyone that is not making that very clear to you, that some of your family members, Lord have mercy, there is a great deal of variability in how often dysfunctional interactions and behaviors occur in families, and in the kinds and the severity of their dysfunction. However, when patterns like the above are the norm rather than the exception, they systematically foster abuse and or neglect. This is how children may feel about this dysfunction. But I want to say this. When you're in a society where there's a lot of crime, Section 8, broken down houses, they combine school systems to try to make the school system worthy of a higher tax base to get better quality services in the schools. When you're in a decent neighborhood, you don't have to, the police patrol decent neighborhoods. I've seen it. They're going to make sure you're straight. So that's why property value isn't so important. And now you got black folks who are the new wiggers, the new white niggers, who are buying these rundown houses and just renting them out to anybody, trying to come up. My point is, we're battling from every single facet of society. You got to fight your mind, yourself, your family, the community. You're constantly distracted. We can't build anything because we're constantly trying to maintain and not go below what we already have. That means you're fighting neighbors, you're fighting your community because they're not studying. They don't know. They're happy in hell. So drugs and dysfunction, it brings down the value of everything. Now, this is how children may react, and we're going to close. They may be forced to take sides in conflicts between parents. They may experience reality shifting in which what is said contradicts what is actually happening. A parent may deny something happening that the child actually observed. For example, when a parent describes a disastrous holiday dinner as a good time. I have that problem with my family, why I don't like to go to family reunions. Because their idea of a good time is we sit around, watch TV, eat, and leave. God bless my sister Tiny Soul, but when we get together, we have fun. We had fun. And people will accuse you of being loud and trying to get attention. But look, y'all are boring. You got the upper echelon class down the hallway getting drunk because they trying to forget. You got the religious folks in here looking at TD Jakes, but we supposed to be having a family reunion. So you say, that's like you young folks going to a club with the same strippers, the same liquor. And y'all come on Facebook, it was a movie. Where the movie at? It was lit. Where the lights at? It was boring, and it was, what do you call it? Repetitious. But you convince yourself, and then you do it so long that you get depressed. So when you get depressed, you see the reality of it, and you got to pop pills to make it look like what you say it is. This you, it was lit. Got your bottle, it was lit. Nigga, you drunk. You high. How the hell you know it was lit? You throwing up in the corner. You just had sex with a girl that got 5 STDs and you took it home to your wife. Talking about it was lit. Did you tell that part on the social media? So you say that bum events were a good time. Be ignored, discounted, or criticized for their feelings and thoughts. That's me. because I was different than most of my family, I'm the bad guy. There always has to be a bad guy. And when you're in a dysfunctional family who already feel bad about themselves, they're going to disassociate themselves from family, period. Unless they're coming to a hospital or something like that to look as if though they care. Other than that, they're going to associate with another family whose dysfunction is worse than yours. But they're more comfortable over there. That breaks a person's heart. That breaks a family member's heart, but that's what this was designed for, to bring dysfunction to the environment. Having parents that are inappropriately intrusive, over-involved, and protective. I was just talking to a basketball coach. I won't get into the situation because y'all might know who it is, but their child thinks he's a pro, and they think he's a pro. He can't play the game as well as they think. He just looks good on the field, on the court. And the coaches allow him to coach the team even though he's a minor. He tells them what he gonna do and what he ain't gonna do. And this coach that I'm talking about was the only one that would check the little Negro, that would check the family. And the other coaches wouldn't say nothing, but when this dude started talking, they'd come up here, man, I'm glad you said that, man. Weak. Because the parents are overprotective and want to get involved with everything in the child's life, thinking they're going to make him a star, but what they're doing is breaking him. He will never be able to make it to the pros because he don't know how to listen. But they think he will. Have parents that are inappropriately distant and uninvolved with their children. Have excessive structure and demands placed on their time, choice of friends, or behavior, are conversely receive no guidance or instructions or structure. Experience rejection or preferential treatment. Be restricted from full and direct communication with other family members. Be allowed or encouraged to use drugs or alcohol. There was a lady who said, yeah, I let my son smoke drugs and drink at home. That way he won't get messed up in the street. Why not tell him no? Anyway, be allowed or encouraged to use drugs and alcohol. Be locked out of the house. I did that to my son. Because he lied to me. And not knowing how to deal with it at an early age, I locked him out of the house. He had to go stay with somebody else. Because I wasn't able to deal with being a father because I wasn't trained to do it. So if you stop listening to me, I'm going to kick you out of the house. See how I include myself in there? Be slapped, hit, scratched, punched, or kicked. Now, I might have thrown some punches, some slaps, but I ain't never scratched nobody, and I don't think I kicked nobody. But I did some things that I shouldn't have done as a parent because I did what I was trained to do. But when you know better, you do better. I take responsibility for all that. If one of my children bring up something, I'll be like, I did that? Boy, that was wrong. I apologize for that. And you tried to correct it. This is where we are. Our children are dysfunctional. They were brought up in a dysfunctional environment. They were brought up in an environment that the only time they got attention is when they were doing something good or when they were doing something extremely bad. And since the good came in such small amounts, it's easier for me to do bad. And by doing bad, you will pay attention to me. Let me tell you something. When I was younger, and I tried hard in school to make A's and B's, I wanted to be not smart to hang with the smart people, but I wanted to understand my work. So a D for me was hard work, a B, hard work, a C, but I never made A's. So when I didn't get attention for grades, I think I hurt myself. I was in the yard and I was playing something and a rose bush thorn stuck into my knee. And I pulled it out, but a piece of the thorn stayed in my knee. And I got blood poisoning in my knee. and my leg locked up, and I was walking backward trying to get to school. I couldn't walk forward. And one day my mom just asked me what was wrong. I told her. She took me to the doctor. I ended up at the doctor for almost a month in the hospital. They had to get the poison out of my leg, and if I didn't get the poison out of my leg, they would have had to amputate my left leg, and the thorn is still there. They didn't operate. They didn't take it out. And I had this long cast on my leg from my hip to my ankle so that I wouldn't bend my knee and pump the blood. I had to learn how to walk and everything again. But when I went back to school on crutches, I got so much attention for being sick. People carrying my books, buying me lunch. Oh, this was just the most euphoric feeling I ever had in my life. I never got that for trying to do good in school. So I made a habit of hurting myself. I used to take an ace bandage and wrap it around my hand, right? So that my hand could swell overnight, and I'd get up and say, oh, I don't know what's wrong with my hand. Now, as an adult, I got all the nerves cut out of my hand in an accident, and sometimes I wonder if that's why it happened. But I was looking for an attention in a dysfunctional environment. I needed attention. I was looking for a male figure to teach me manhood. I literally asked my mama one time, I snuck into a juke joint and saw a man in there with a toothpick. His underwears were showing, and this was in the 70s. And he was playing pool. He had these big shades on, and I ran home and asked my mama, could I have that man for Christmas? Because my father wasn't in the picture. That's the damage we're facing. So when I got addicted to pain pills, as an adult, I got addicted to pain pills because of this hand right here. It took all of that away. That pill answered all my problems. I slept all day, and when I couldn't sleep no more, I'd take another pill. And the only time I didn't take one is if I had something to do. Then when I finished that, I pop another pill. I got addicted. Then it came over the news, if you're taking this pill, Ultram, if you're taking it, stop taking it immediately. It's addictive, cause heart failure, liver failure, and I had to wean myself off of that pill over a period of 3 to 4 years. I got as many prescriptions as I could before they took it off of the market. And I started breaking those pills and taking a piece until my body didn't want it anymore. I'm talking to you young people, and I apologize if I'm going too long, but I had to get this out. Now I want to play this last clip relating to childhood neglect and dysfunction. I had some more to go over, but I think that's enough for this one. And I thank you all for tuning in. So I want to play this real quickly. This is the science of neglect. It is a science. It is a science. Everything is a science. And when we understand that, we may be able to do better as a people. Okay, so here we go. The science of neglect. It's 5 minutes and 57 seconds. Then we're gonna shut it down.
Everyone in a community has a vested interest in everyone else's children, because everyone else's children determine the next adult population that makes for a successful society. Built into our biology is the need to have responsive interactions with adults.
Neglect for children is when they don't get what the brain is expecting to get, what the child is expecting to get, what we are biologically prepared and waiting for, which is input from those around us.
It's this back and forth serve and return interaction that literally shapes the architecture of the brain.
Serve and return begins when a child looks at something or observes something, makes an utterance, and that represents the serve. And the return is when the parent notices the child doing these things and responds to the child.
Under conditions where serve and return is broken, you literally are pulling away what is the essential ingredient of the development of human brain architecture.
It was a really compelling series of experiments where they started by videotaping the mother and the baby engaging in cooing and smiling. And then they asked the mother to basically put on a blank face and not respond at all. When a baby is not attended to, that is a sign of danger to the baby biologically. So the stress systems become activated.
In a brain that is constantly bathed in stress hormones, not that's up and down, that comes with normal development, certain key synapses, the connections between nerves, fail to form, and critical regions of the brain.
So neglect both fails to provide the stimulation that's needed to develop the basic architecture, and when it's at a certain level, is one of the most potent activators of the stress biology of a young child. So you get a double whammy.
Science points to 4 categories of this spectrum of neglect. The first category would be what's called occasional inattention, where children experience responsiveness most of the time, but occasionally adults don't respond. There's no harm in that, and in fact, there's probably some benefit.
A child can learn to self-soothe and explore the environment, and all of those opportunities build brain architecture.
The second category, scientists would call chronic understimulation, is where on a regular basis, children have less interaction with the adults around them than is needed for healthy development.
Those children typically, when provided with enriched learning opportunities and more typical levels of serve and return, will show catch-up.
The third category is what science would call severe neglect in a family where not only are there prolonged periods of inattention and lack of responsiveness, but often also associated with not being fed enough, not being bathed enough, not having basic needs met.
Neglect is a huge problem in the U.S. Children are much more likely to be neglected than they are to experience any other kind of maltreatment.
We see the child really being at risk for much more substantial kinds of deficits down the road that don't necessarily get easily fixed or ameliorated. This is where we really need to think about more complicated and often more intensive strategies to help undo those effects.
The fourth category, called severe neglect, generally found in institutional settings, is a result of children living in kind of warehoused type situation in orphanages.
And it doesn't have to even be as extreme as orphanages. It can be experiences that are regretfully occurring in many, many parts of our country.
Often institutional care in this country is under the euphemistic name of transitional care or temporary care or assessment facilities.
If you think about what institutional or residential care would look like for an infant, where there's somebody new coming onto the shift every 8 hours, it really alters the development of the child's brain architecture and other aspects of the child's development.
We have the potential to change children's developmental trajectories.
Interventions can apply to parents, to foster parents or adoptive parents, child care settings, Head Start settings, and other kinds of settings. And really, what they're about is attuning people to the serve and return process.
Neglecting young children is neglecting the foundations of a healthy next generation. The community pays a huge price later in terms of the problems of the next generation, whether it be educational achievement, economic productivity, good citizenship, the ability to parent the next generation. All of the things that have to do with a healthy, prosperous society.
I'm sorry. I thank you all for tuning in. That was a very, very important piece. The next generation was going to be worse than this generation. The next generation will be nearly completely savage if we do not correct the path. It is our job before your job, before what you desire in life. We got to start fixing it, because as long as your child is between the ages of childbirth and 10 or 12, they'll listen to you. But the minute they start talking, they will start talking back. They will start running into the wrong people. And even if they're successful in life, if their success does not revert back to helping those who did not make it, then they are literally not a quality candidate for our society. We need a lot of help. Now, I want to read this real quick I found the information I wanted. I want to read to you some of the people that work for a group called the RAND Research and Development Corporation, which is a part of the Tavis Institute, which have been designed to shape the moral, spiritual, cultural, political, and economic decline. They're shaping the decline. The world that's coming in is not one that you brought. It's one that has been designed for you to accept. And the only way you can break that is to design the world of your own. We don't have banks or hospitals or schools. We don't have rescue squads. We don't have decent stores, grocery stores, gas stations. All of that is non-existent to us. All we got is clubs. What else we got? Nail shops. Not to take away from those things, but those are not necessities. Those are entertainment. And people who can work for society but cannot help themselves. And this is what our children are seeing, and this is why they want to escape this world. But young people, you're escaping it wrong with drugs. So we're talking about environmental dysfunction and its relation to the use of drugs, and why fentanyl was designed and introduced to us, because it gives us an automatic quick high and a sure addiction. Some of the groups that work with the Tavis Stock Institute to steer your and my thinking into the direction they want us to go, and at the same time making us think that we're doing it. Some of them, and I'm not going to name them all, AT&T, Chase Manhattan Bank, the U.S. Air Force, the U.S. Department of Energy, and BM, ran as one of the major Tavistock-controlled institutes in the world and working on brainwashing at 138. All levels, including government, military, religious organizations. The Angelic Church Desmond Tutu was one of Rand's projects. The Bishop Desmond Tutu. They raise preachers. They give you preachers to listen to, because they guide you and they make you comfortable in a world that God did not design for you. Now, this in closing, but there are a great many other intelligence agencies receiving instruction from Tavistock. There include the Defense Department and Intelligence, DIA, the National Reconnaissance Office, NRO, and the Office of Naval Intelligence, ONI, the Treasure Intelligence Service, TIS, the State Department Intelligence Service, the Drug Enforcement Agency, and at least 10 others, 139. Everything you see, from the food you eat, genetically modified, created in a laboratory, to the thoughts you think. You are thinking genetically modified thoughts. Nothing is real. We are in an illusion, and it's going to take only God. Only one source of light can come into our heads, the one and only true universal law of God. And remember, for every opposite, there is an equal and opposite opposite. There is always something there just like what you want, that looks like what you want, but is not what you need. This is Jamil Salib Zamir. Young folks, y'all are not strong enough. You got to get stronger and something bigger than yourself, because you are going to chase drugs. This has been designed for us to fail. We cannot beat it in no way, shape, or form, but we can feel like we are winning until we die. We are literally worshiping death. We worship the death of people who died physically with balloons and shirts. We can't wait to dress up and smoke weed and play music. Death, death, death. And we are worshiping death in the destruction of our minds and bodies, slowly destroying ourselves. We got to get up. You got to get stronger. Your fight is not against other people. Jihad in Islam is not a fight against the infidel. The infidel is you. I'm fighting an internal fight against my own desires. No ego, custom wear. We got to get out of the desire mindset and think of the whole. The reason you don't want to listen to me is because you don't want to be awakened. You don't want to be awakened. You love the nap. It feels right, but we got to wake up. And we're trusting that God will help us by whatever name you call him, because you can call him Jesus. You can call him Allah. You can call him Buddha. God does not clash with himself. And until we get intelligent enough to understand that one point, we can never stand up and fight. We're clashing with each other on every side. And the way you weaken a society is to get the society fighting against itself. This is Jamil Salib Zamir, Manning, South Carolina. Thank you for tuning in. Please tune in tomorrow. We're going to try to do this consecutively for 7 days. This has been the third day. Tomorrow will be the fourth day, God willing. Thank you for tuning in.
Thank you so very much for tuning in to this month installment of the 19 Report. I am your host, Brother Johnny. I walked a thin line between right and wrong, took my fears to God, then I wrote this song. The spirit kept calling, so I answered the phone, and then I manned up and got some backbone. My mind resonates at a much higher tone, solid foundation, empire zone. 3 mountains, I'm in one, right to left counted, 9 and then 1, left to right switch it, 1 and then 9, west to east, south to north, a thin line. I know Christ exists, cause his mercy allows me a chance to stand 3 on a square. Yeah, we in there. This is Brother Johnny of Groove 19 Promotions.
Sing.